Well, we interviewed some candidates running for U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
We've been running them pretty much once a week here the last few weeks. And so this is a chance, because there's so many. You'll see it. There's quite a bit of advertisements and stuff like that. This is your chance to kind of hear their views, understand them a little bit more before you mark your ballot.
Yeah, this week Ben Sasse explains a bit about his background. Here's a look.
Tell us who Ben Sasse is, a little about your background.
You bet. I'm a 42-year-old non-politician. My wife Melissa and I have 3 kids, and we're raising them in Fremont, a mile from where I grew up. Most of my career has been spent in business, turning around broken companies and not-for-profit organizations. And for the last 5 years, I've been president of Midland University in my hometown of Fremont.
Great. What do you think is the biggest issue that you'd like to tackle, I guess, in the Senate?
I mean, what we're hearing on the ground in Nebraska is Obamacare, Obamacare, and Obamacare. We do 3 town halls a day, and everywhere you go, people want to talk about Obamacare, but not just that it's failed legislation. That's what we do believe in Nebraska, but also that Obamacare is a worldview that says if anything's big and broken, only the federal government can fix it, and the American people would be better off as dependent subjects than as entrepreneurial citizens, and that's not what Nebraskans believe. We want to recover a great country for our kids.
Now, I've seen the commercials, calling you Obamacare's Nebraska nemesis. Now, why is that?
You know, our website, benfornebraska.com, has a couple of different films people can look at, and really we didn't start out, this was a label that the national media started giving us because we were having these huge town hall crowds. We're having a lot of town halls with more than 200 people a night showing up at them, and the National Review, a conservative magazine, put our campaign on the cover and called me Nebraska's Obamacare nemesis. But because we don't just want to reject Obamacare, we want to fully repeal it, it's broken and it can't be fixed, but we want to replace it with a conservative alternative that works for Nebraska families, where they could take their health insurance plans with them across job and geographic change. Conservatives can't just be against things. We are against Obamacare, and we need to fully repeal it, but we also need to propose a constructive conservative governing vision.
That was my next question. What's the plan?
Yeah, so we're rolling out a plan. We've been traveling the central part of the state most of this week, and we're talking about the fact that there's a bias in the tax code against farmers and ranchers and small business people. If you work for a large employer group, you tend to get tax breaks for your health insurance, and about 97% of people who work for large firms get employer-sponsored health insurance. But if you're a farmer or a rancher or a small business person, you only have a 47% chance because you don't get the same tax break. So the first thing we need to do is level the playing field for farmers and ranchers and small business people.
Other big issues that you're looking to work on? You
know, regulatory overreach. Right now we have an Obama administration that regularly is trying to write law in the executive branch. My 2 oldest kids, our boy is 2, so he doesn't take the Constitution too seriously, but our 10 and 12-year-old daughters, they know that the Constitution has a first branch of government that's the legislature that writes laws, and a second branch that's the executive branch that should execute them. And President Obama says he has a pen and he has a phone and he can just write law in the executive branch. Nebraskans want to return to a constitutional system. It's a glorious inheritance our founders gave us, and we need to recover it and pass it on to our kids.
Now, is there a way for people to work together in the Senate with the president, or are Democrats, Republicans just too different?
Yeah, you know, it's a great question. Right now, we have a city in Washington, D.C. that's incredibly broken. It's broken because Democrats believe that they're big government solutions to every problem, but too often Republicans kind of act the same way, and so they just scream at each other all the time in the floor of the House and the Senate in the day, to get invited on cable TV to scream at each other all night. It doesn't do anything healthy for our kids. It breeds cynicism among the next generation. I think the way you get to principled compromise in Washington, D.C. is by admitting that the founders had it right. Most of American life is lived in the private sector, and of those governance issues that require public policy solutions, they should be delivered at the state and local level. And I think that Democrats should be able to agree with Republicans that we should admit Washington is too big, and we should send more programs back to the states. We have a lot more confidence in Dave Heineman and the unicameral than we have in Barack Obama and Harry Reid. We should devolve more government back to the state and local level.
All right. We got a few opponents to mention. Republicans, Clifton Johnson, Shane Osborne, Sid Didsdale, Bart McClay. If you get past the primary, Democrats, Dave Domina, maybe Larry Marvin. What makes you the best candidate over these people?
You know, there are a lot of good people in this race. I'm not running against anybody. I'm running for the future of our kids and grandkids, but we've been endorsed by a broad range of people across the state and across the country. Paul Ryan, Tom Coburn, Sarah Palin, Gun Owners of America, Family Research Council, Club for Growth. These groups are coming in, again, in the state and beyond, saying it isn't good enough just to say you're going to vote the right way. We need a voice for constitutional recovery, and that's what we're hearing on the ground in our town halls as well.
All right, Ben Sasse for Senate. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.